Hi, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the 3 things that you might need to know before you move to San Antonio. And it might not be what you think, because I know I try to highlight all the positives of San Antonio, but today we are going to talk about some of those things that could be a downside, could be a positive, depends how you look at it, but it is important to know before you move to our amazing city of San Antonio and all our little surrounding areas, because I know not everyone is moving straight into the heart of San Antonio, and that's okay, because all of these kind of encompass our San Antonio metro area. So, as always, I am Amanda Growthuse, your host of this YouTube channel. I am a local real estate expert, born and raised here, and I cannot wait to take you through this journey of everything that you need to know before you move to our city. So depending on where you are moving from, our climate might be a little bit of a change for you. So San Antonio and Texas in general is just known for our heat. So depending where you're from, I think it's rather humid here. People who are from other states think it is not humid, but we have that intense heat with humidity. So if you do not like to sweat, I am so sorry, because in our summer, I'm telling you, you sweat almost constantly. But it doesn't like evaporate quickly like if you were in, a few other states that I can think of. It is a constant, just kind of sticky, hot mess. But the great thing about that is because it is so hot, and it's almost hot year round, despite that I'm wearing a sweater right now. It is kind of chilly today. And by chilly, I mean in the 60s. But for the majority of our year, it is relatively warm and hot. So you can take advantage of outdoor activities like swimming in a pool, going to our mini rivers, our lakes, all of those water fun activities, so that you can kind of beat that heat. So while it is super hot, we do have the advantage of getting to go into the pool almost year round. If you have a heated pool, you can jump in all winter long, because it really doesn't get that cold here. And so that's one of the things that a lot of people I don't think are ready for. They're not ready for that intense heat plus the humidity. A lot of places are really, really hot, but they're dry. A lot of places are really humid, but they don't get that heat. We have both. And so I will say I've lived here my whole life, so I don't really know any different, but a lot of people who move here say they end up getting used to it. I'm not gonna say they love it. I don't think any of us love it, but you do get used to it. And so that's something that I always tell people, hey, look, if you really don't like that combination, San Antonio might not be the right place for you. And along those lines, since we're talking about climate, I also want to touch on it. I actually didn't have this in my notes. I was kind of trying to make an outline, and I didn't have this in my notes, but I think it's something really important to touch on, is allergies. So if you have not heard of cedar fever, you will know it here. We have cedar trees galore, and people just are allergic to it. I mean, my husband's one of them. I've had clients move here, and they rented an apartment, and they were trying to get a feel for the area, and they decided that they actually wanted to move somewhere else because their asthma was just kicking up, and they just could not breathe the way that they wanted to breathe down here with the allergies in San Antonio. So if you have really bad allergies, I'm sorry, San Antonio does have that. I'm one of the lucky ones where it doesn't affect me. So come on down here, visit us. It may or may not affect you. If it doesn't, this is gonna be a great place for you. If it does, like I said, I mean, it is just something that you can combat with allergy medicine, stuff like that. But it is something that a lot of people I don't think are really aware of before they move. And it really can affect your quality of life. So that's something that I always tell people, check it out for yourself. It is obviously unique to each individual, so not everyone is going to have that issue. But I do want to point it out because it affects, like I said, my husband's down and out some days. And so while I didn't have it in my notes, I'm glad that I thought of it so that I can let you know about that. Something else that San Antonio has been really known for is our affordable cost of living. And so a lot of people move to San Antonio, they see in it all the headlines, all the national news, San Antonio, affordable living, one of the most affordable places out of the big cities of Texas, which is true. But I will tell you, in the past few years, our cost of living has ticked up to where we are not necessarily we're still, I think, from Houston and Dallas and Austin, I will say I still think we are the most affordable, but it is not as affordable as what you are thinking or what we could have had 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. So that's something I want to touch on, because if you're coming here and you're like, hey, I'm going to buy a $150,000 house and it's going to be beautiful, I'm sorry, that is just not the case anymore. That's something we could have gotten a few years ago. But we do have a lot of great areas that are kind of in the surrounding areas of San Antonio. Still great school districts, still short commute, but it is a little cheaper there. So that would be my one thing. San Antonio cost of living as a whole has gone up, but you can still find little pockets where it is affordable. But something that a lot of people don't take into account when they are talking about buying a house here in San Antonio, but in Texas in general, is our property taxes. So Texas they just have high property taxes. We don't have that income tax, and so where they make up that difference is in our property taxes. And that is something that no one likes them. But we can search around, because not everywhere in San Antonio has the same property tax rate. And so if you are just one of those people that you just cannot fathom a particular property tax rate, it's okay. We can find you an area and we can kind of look around, because everywhere is different. And that's the beauty of being such a big city and having all these little outlying suburbs and cities to go to, is there is always somewhere that we can find you that has a property tax rate that fits your particular lifestyle and income. So when you're coming here, just know when you look at property taxes, they can be a pretty penny. I just showed a property down in the Chavano Park area, 0.8 of an acre, and it was almost 12 grand in property taxes, because that is just one of the highest areas for property taxes. Now, if you want to move further out, it's going to be a lot less. So just depends where you're looking. And like I said, that's something that you really have to take into account when you are factoring in how much house I can afford, and is San Antonio the right place as far as affordability, is you have to look at those property taxes. And if you're coming in from another state, you might not know that. And so that is why that is something that I really wanted to cover here, because that, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be aware of where you're buying, and that is going to be all of Texas universally. Something else that has gotten increasingly worse, I would say, is our traffic. So San Antonio has grown so much in the last few years, which is incredible. We are a giant melting pot. We have so many people coming here from so many different backgrounds, states, even countries, so the beauty of San Antonio is that we are very culturally diverse. But the downside of so many people moving in here, especially so quickly, is that our infrastructure could not keep up. So I've driven in California. I wouldn't say we're quite as crazy as California traffic. Even Houston, I would say Houston is a little more crowded because they're a little more condensed. We are a little more spread out, which does help. But I would say the traffic has gotten increasingly worse and our infrastructure hasn't kept up. So there is a ton of construction all over the city. I don't care where you go, you will see those yellow construction signs and those traffic cones. Now, this will not last for forever. So depending on when you're watching this video, we are in January of 2024. So depending on when you're watching this video, that construction might be done, but it is just something that you're going to have to think about. When a city gets to a certain size, there's going to be more traffic. I know we used to drive across the city. It was a breeze, no big deal. Has not been that way in the past, I would say probably 10 years. I see it only getting even more busy as more people move in. So it's just one of those things to think about. If you come from a very laid back lifestyle, a very laid back city, we have that laid back feel, but now we have that increased traffic. So if that's not what you're looking for, San Antonio might not be right for you. But I will say this again and again and again, we have so many outlying cities and suburbs that have less traffic, less people. You might love living out in that area and then only commuting in San Antonio here and there. So only dealing with that traffic every now and then. Downtown, we kind of have this grid-like one-way street situation in our downtown San Antonio. So traffic can kind of get backed up there. But for the most part, they are working on it. I hope in the next decade, maybe they finish that. So if you're watching this video in 10 years, maybe it will be done. But for now, I foresee us having lots of construction, lots of traffic, just while they figure out how to fit in and help navigate all the people that have moved in here in the last few years. So those are my 3 things that you need to know before moving to San Antonio, because while I think it's a great city to live in, my family's here, all of my family is here. So not just my immediate family, not just my little kiddos, but everyone in my family lives here and we love it. We aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So there are so many pluses that outweigh these downsides, but I do want to point them out because when you're moving somewhere new, you want all the information. You want the good, the bad, the ugly. You want to know exactly what you're getting into before you actually move here. And I always recommend coming down and visiting, spend a weekend, even a week here, get to know the city, see how you feel as far as allergies, heat, all of that. And I hope you love it as much as I do. Feel free to reach out to me. I am always here. I love to answer your questions, love to get to know you, tell you everything there is to know about San Antonio. And if you like this channel and this video, then you can hit the notification button so you're always notified when I post a new video. And you can also subscribe so you don't miss anything that I ever post. So again, this is Amanda Grothies. Can't wait to talk to you again on next video.